Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Ling Kai. I'm the MC for this event, Social Forum 1, Attitudes to Aging. Okay, as we know, the pandemic have struck us and lots of things have changed. And our attitudes to aging, to all stages of life have changed as well. So today we're honored to have three speakers. The first speaker will be Dr. Gansu Wan. She is currently an assistant professor at University of Tunku Abdul Rahman and also the chairperson for Center for Applied Psychology. And the second speaker we have is Mr. Cheah Tak Wing. Mr. Cheah is an industrial practitioner and currently he's the founding president of Third Age Media Association, which is actively promoting healthy and active aging. And Mr. Cheah has vast experience in leading business institutions and lecturing as well. We also have Prof. Dr. Parameshvara. Prof. Dr. Parameshvara has vast experience in training psychiatrists, nursing students, and he's currently a senior professor at the Faculty of Medicine in University of Tunku Abdul Rahman, Sungai Long campus. I have a reminder for all participants. Please remember to mute your microphone, okay, to minimize any interruption to the talk. And to UTAR students, please remember to sign in so that you can claim the USSDC points. The sign-in link has been provided in the chat box. Okay, so here we have our flow. I will just brief you on the flow of this event. So our talk will start at 9 a.m. We'll start with Dr. Gansu Wan's talk with the title Grandparenting in Malaysia, followed by Mr. Cheah Tak Wing's talk, but he has pre-recorded it on the video so that just to avoid any interference of unstable internet connection. So his title of speech will be the role of Third Age Media Association in promoting healthy and active aging. And last but not least, we have Prof. Dr. Parameshvara's talk, Elderly and Psychosocial Stresses. Again, I would like to remind all participants to remember to mute your microphone. Our open discussion, which is also the Q&A discussion, will only begin after Prof. Dr. Parameshvara's talk. Okay, so if you wish to ask question, you can type your question in the chat box, or if you wish to ask questions through microphone, kindly raise your hand, okay, so that we can admit you and you can start using the microphone to ask questions. Okay, we also need to assign turns so that we have a sequential turn for the question and answering session. And last, we were going to have our closing ceremony. Okay, at this time, we're going to have all our participants fill out the feedback form. And UTAR students, don't forget to fill out the feedback form as well and to sign out. The sign out link will also be provided later. And in the end, we'll have a photo session approximately at 10:55. Okay, we shall wait for other participants to come in. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the talk, Social Forum 1, okay? Attitudes to Aging. Okay, I would like to repeat the announcement and also the introduction of our speakers. Okay, so this talk is organized by Center for Applied Psychology attached to UTAR, University of Tunku Abdul Rahman, Kampar campus. And we have three speakers today. We're honored to have three speakers today. The first speaker would be Dr. Gan Suwan. Dr. Gan Suwan is an assistant professor at Faculty of Arts and Social Science, Psychology Department. Her research area and interest would be parenting and grandparenting. Okay? And the second speaker we have today is Mr. Cheah Tak Wing. Mr. Cheah is the founding president of Third Age Media Association, which currently promotes healthy and active aging. Mr. Cheah has vast experience in leading business institutions and lecturing as well. He's an industrial practitioner. The second industrial practitioner and academician we have is Prof. Dr. Deva. Prof. Dr. Parameshvara is a senior professor at Faculty of Medicine, University of Tunku Abdul Rahman at Sungai Long campus. And he himself is a medical doctor and psychiatrist. He has vast experience in training nursing students, medical students, and also he's currently a consultant. He started many projects just like Mr. Cheah. Okay, so shall we welcome our first speaker, Dr. Gan Suwan. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Dr. Gan Suwan.
Okay, good morning, everyone. I believe you can hear me. If not, if there's any technical problems, Mr. Lee, can you remind me? Just unmute your mic and remind me if there's any technical problems. So I'm Suwan, so I will be the first speaker of today. So I'm going to share you something regarding aging issues and also some part of our grandparenting research. So allow me to share screens. So wait for a while. So I believe you can hear me unless someone's unmute me. So please, if you mute me, please unmute me. Okay. So we understand that there's more and more audience that are coming in. But due to our program flow, so we will continue. So we will have the recordings. Actually, we will have the recording. You can still view the recording after that if you need more clarification. So maybe we can have more interactions during the open discussion sessions as well. So I'm very happy to have you all. So I'm very happy to be a first speaker as well. So I think that we are going to go through more and more interesting speak from Mr. Cheah and also Prof. Deva. So today I'm going to show you something of our research, some part of our research on grandparenting. But we did studies before COVID-19 actually. It's not easy to do research now. If we have some researcher here, they should understand. Okay, and I'm going to share some aging issues just to highlight some current issues so that we can have some idea. I start with the aging in the 21st century's issues. So today in the 21st centuries, our familiar social institutions such as marriage and employment can no longer be counted on for security throughout the adulthood. So what is the meaning of this? So our social event, our life course, the main life course events might not be similar with previous time. So previous time maybe as compared with my parents' time, maybe they were married and have child, have families, build their families at 20 years old something. But right now, maybe until 30 or even 40, some of us not even have their first child. So you know, especially what we experienced last year because of COVID-19 outbreak. So we might realize our career developments, our some major life event like marriage, we might postpone or even pregnancy or those kind of things, okay, due to the unpredictable event. So aging right now can be less predictable as well. So for example, I will not surprise if you tell me oh, my colleague who is 66 years old already, but yes, she retired from one job, one career, but she take out a new career, start a new career again. I won't feel surprised. I will feel amazed maybe. Okay, she's great or something. But so what do you mean aging? Is it aging means retire, then we have to rest? So aging right now may also become less predictable as others social event and others social institutions becomes unpredictable as well. So we might need to use brands, we might have brand A, and out we do brand C. So how about how do you think of aging? What is your idea or what is your attitude to aging? So attitudes to aging, it can from the third parties to an elderly, or it can from the elderly themselves. So for example, the elderly might think like I'm too old, or this is sorry. So this is what we call ageism. So ageism is they might have some stereotypes towards elderly. So all the elderly themselves have some stereotypes or negative stereotype. It can be negative stereotype toward themselves as well. So for example, they might think I'm too old to do something. So if you are the elderly and you have this mindset, means you actually somehow you actually brings the stereotype toward yourself. So some young people, maybe they have some ideas. Okay, yeah, old people means they cannot, you know, they have slow movements. They have no friends. They are lonely. But okay, is it true? Maybe it's not true. So this is what we want to talk the myth of aging. Contrary is okay to ageism or to what we think about the stereotypes towards elderly. They may still able to do something. They may still exercise, as I know Mr. Cheah actually exercise every day. So later we can hear from him about active aging. So some of them, they have many friends. They have many friends. They have a very close family relationships as well. So they're active. They're happy. So it maybe is a bit different with what we think, as we are not the elderly yet. Okay. So what is the truth behind the aging? So let you all to think. Okay. So is it aging equal to old? So if you are an elderly or you are in aging, yeah, you in aging, okay, means you're old, you have no friends like what we said, is it? Or you have no, you do things that you cannot contribute to the society or cannot contribute to families anymore. So we don't know, so we have to search around to understand that. Or you think aging actually is a goal. So it's a golden age, right? We always say it's a golden age. So you have you full with experience. Okay, you can share okay your knowledge as well. So you with your sharing with your knowledge, maybe the young people can gain okay some things that they don't need to go through so many obstacles, but they can just listen to some of the advice. Then you take aging as old or go. Okay, we the things because I'm not you. So there are some current issue in Malaysia that we want to link with grandparenting because today actually I want to highlight the grandparenting. So according to the fifth Malaysian Spiritual and Family Survey, so regarding the childcare arrangements, so the main choice of childcare arrangements for children below 6 years old among the working mothers are the grandparents. So grandparents, okay, is the top choice for working women to let the grandparents to take care of their grandchildren. So why? Later we actually discuss it. So there are some statistics that I want to show you. So the main problems faced by the working women are less time spent with the family as well as the childcare problems. So we can also see they require some type of support from the employer So it means from the workplace or from their boss. So what's their needs? Okay, usually over 1/3 of them their needs childcare center at the working place. So we can see somehow working women that actually needs more support on childcare arrangement. So there are some current issue in Malaysia, and I try to link with grandparenting. So why grandparenting become more and more popular right now? So first is due to the longer life expectancy. So you can say because of the advance of medicines. So or it can link with technology as well. So people now, Malaysians now, they have a longer life expectancy. So with longer life expectancy, of course, they have longer time to take the grandparenting role. So it can be because of the collectivistic values. As Malaysia, we actually practice collectivistic value that promotes the importance of family values and type. So we promote the interpersonal relationship, harmonious relationship. So as compared to Western society, Malaysian grandparents, they are more likely to take the role as a caregiver. So due to urbanizations and the emptiness for the elderly, so young adults, they were away from homes, so they will go to the city just to grab the job opportunities. So the research actually found that there are more parents, they will leave their child to the rural area with the elderly because they think rural area actually is a good environment for the child to grow up as compared to city. And there are some people that also think living expenses in rural area actually can be lower. That is why there are some reasons. So it can because of the rise of in dual earner families. So it shifted the provisions of childcare responsibility from parents to grandparents. So that is why there are more grandparents taking care of the grandchildren as so let me continue. So another things might be because of trustworthy childcare. So we know they are our parents. So they was actually we normally they will take care of our child just like they take care of us. So it's a trustworthy service. So if it can be for both practical and sentimental reasons. So we let the grandparents to take care of our children. So this is what I explained. You mentioned just now. So there are some grandparenting and other issues, like the grandparents might experience some parenting stress because again they have to get the parental role, so they might feel stressed. So they might experience some mental distress because they cannot cope, maybe because of their physical health. So, but they still have to take care of grandchildren. It can be, or pursuit of physical health. So there are some inconsistent finding. So some of them actually reported to have better health after they're taking care of their grandchildren. Some of them say in another way. So financial constraint because due to different family background, some of them might experience financial constraint or material hardships. So they have to financially sponsors their grandchildren. So, and also the closest grandparents and grandchildren's relationships, and they might have different parenting ideas with their adult children. So this is a preliminary studies on grandparenting in Malaysia. So we conduct interviews and also means qualitative data and quantitative through interviewer administrator survey. So we will have the interviewer to ask the elderly. So they are full-time caregiver. So from the result, we realized that what kind of child we know what type of child care support from them. So they support in academics. So sometimes they will assist the child to do the homework if it's quite easy and they can handle it, or they will remind them, it's time for you to do the homework, or they will ask them, tomorrow you have to go to school, you have to keep your bag, something like that. So practical support, it can be provide personal care, like cook for them, prepare some food, or transportations. They will fetch them to children center or to school. So the one more thing that I quite surprised is emotional support. We thought there is a generation gap, but actually there can be the listener of the child that can also encourage them. As information support that can provide some advice, moral values. So financial support, they normally will give some pocket money. This is based on our respondents. So we also have the qualitative study based on the thematic analysis. We come out all this summary. So I just roughly go through what they say, some of them. So as grandma, I once said, this is about the relationship closeness with the grandchildren. So I love things and take care. They actually take care of each other. So grandma C3 also said our relationship is very good and I love him so much. We are close relationships. So when I feel tired, he will ask me to take a rest. So I will bring him to do the activities that he likes and he will say, Grandma, you're so nice. Okay. So and M1 said they always tell me that he loved me. So C2 also mentioned that he will massage for me. They share, okay, what have been happening in the school. So I will hug them and they will tell me they love me. So based on thematic analysis, the close relationship in this case will be affections, contact that involve all this love, sharing, caring, communication, and mutual support. And we try to understand their childcare experience in terms of perceived life changes and also quality of life as well as their self-reported physical health. So some of them said, I enjoy taking care of my grandchild and I feel not lonely when the grandchild is here. So, and they said, I feel I'm busier than they are busier because they have to take care of at least one. You can say a little monster. So I feel tired, but I feel happy and feel satisfied. So they will feel sad. Okay, this grandma said, I will feel sad when my grandchild is not around, but I feel healthier. Okay, this grandma even told us that her high blood pressure is gone after taking care of grandchild, but there's no significant scientifically approved, but somehow mentally she thinks so. Okay, so no matter how down I feel or how difficulty of my life, I feel ease and peace when I look at my grandchild. So C4 also said, I'm busier yet happier. So didn't feel any changes on the health. So there are some um, inconsistent. Some of them said it can be better, you can see no changes, happier yet busier. So based on our result, we try to come out some conclusions. So based on the quantitative study, so we can actually say, okay, when the grandparents has a very close relationship with their grandchild or with their grandchildren, they actually feel their life is better and they are healthier as well. So it's similar with what we found in the qualitative studies. So those grandmother, because in qualitative data, we are only able to recruit grandmother. So grandmother feel happier and healthier with the companionship of the grandchildren, even though they might feel tired and busy sometimes. So we try to apply some theories to explain or to support our result. So we use benefit findings and cognitive approach. So under benefit findings, the proposition actually talk about the individual will seek meaning from stressful event and promote positive growth in the aspect of a relationship. So we will actually, sometimes we will experience some stressful events. Later, Prof. Deva will talk about the coping skill and promotes positive growth in the respect of the relationship. So even we feel stressed, but we will try to find some things, okay, that will make us to feel better from the positive relationship. So in this study, we also found that the grandparents are more likely to view their life and physical health positively when they gain some benefit from their grandchildren, such as they get the emotional support, they have the companionship, okay, they have a quality relationship, they have a quality time with their grandchildren. So even they feel tired, means even they feel stressed sometimes, they still feel good. Okay, so according to the cognitive approach, we have the diners. Okay, so it's talk about the life qualities and the happiness, so and also life satisfaction. So the caregiver's role may acknowledge their contribution. So the grandparents might think, okay, from cognitive. So they might think, okay, I can still contribute to the family. I have a sense of fulfillment and being valued, okay, by my family members. So there were things that have a better quality of life and physical health. So we come out with a short conclusion. So this might be the contributions of the elderly. So they give financial support, advice, knowledge, cultural value, endless love, companionships, and of course, trustworthy childcare. So take home message to everyone. So this is actually from a Chinese proverb. So a family with an old person is a family with a goal. So try to appreciate the elderly in your home if you still have one. Okay, so thank you very much. So if you have further questions, you can email me or you can ask later as well. We have the Q&A sessions. So I will give this to Mr. Lee.
Hi, good morning again. It's me again. Okay, thank you, Dr. Gan, for the insightful research. Thank you for sharing your research output. This research was done to the public. If you don't know what Center for Applied Psychology is, now this is a research center that connects researchers from all background. Okay, we have researchers from the Faculty of Medicine, we have languages and linguistics, we have literature, we have psychology, we have psychiatrists as well. Okay, so if you are interested to join this, do let us know later. Okay, so now let's welcome Mr. Cheah Tak-Ming. So Cheah Tak-Ming. So the role of Third Age Media Association in promoting healthy and active aging would be the title of his speech. Please welcome Mr. Cheah.
So hello everyone, see me again. So I'm going to help Mr. Cheah to play his pre-recording video on behalf because Mr. Cheah afraid that his internet connection might be unstable. So he sent me his pre-recordings. So I'm going to check if there's any technical problem, just let me know so I can amend it immediately. Okay, so give me a second.
Good morning to everyone. My name is Mr. Cheah Tak-Ming, the president for Third Age Media Association, Kuala Lumpur, Selangor. I would like to first thank you to University Tunku Abdul Rahman or UTAR for organizing this forum and also giving me this opportunity to share our association experience and what we do to encourage seniors to live an active and healthy life, and also, of course, to enjoy their golden years post-retirement. Now, actually, as we know, there are actually many things we can do and enjoy after retirement. Some of us do not have that chance during our working adult life, either because of work or family commitments. Now, my presentation today will include photos and short video clips about our association activities. So without ado, let's dive into it. Let me go to the second slide. Okay, so many actually are not aware of what is third age. Before I go into third age, let me so-called summarize that age can be classified into 4 ages. The first age is the time when you are born until you finish your studies, either university or college, or even Form 5. Some ages, but the second age will start when you start working. All right. When you start working until you retire, that is the second age. All right. So third age comes in when you retire. All right. So now third age, the condition is that if you want to be called yourself as a third ager, you must be still a person who is still active and healthy. So that's the third age, third ager. Fourth age is the time when you become dependent. You know, you are bedridden and you need people to help you. So that is called the fourth age. You know, and our association name as imply, we want to encourage the population of third age, third ager to grow, because these are the independent retirees who will still be able to contribute to society, or they are still active in one way or another. So as the definition given here, these are the people defined as the time spent between retirement and beginning of the age imposed physical, emotional, and all those. No? So it roughly falls between 65 and 80 years old, all right? 80 and above, right? So you have third ager, like people like Lee Lam Tai, who is still actively contributing to the community. And people like also Robert Kwok or Tan Sri Sai Bokta, or even Lee Ka Ching, who is active in business, you know, even at their advanced age of 70, 80. And of course, there are also some who are still very active in politics, contributing to the nation. People like the recent president-elect, the American president-elect Biden, and also not forgetting our very own Tun Dr. Mahathir at the age of ripe old age of 95. He still wants to be prime minister for the third time. So, but he's actually our icon, you know. I mean, putting aside politics, you can see that he really is the best model as a senior, all right, to Mahathir. So let's look at what we do, the association. Our vision is actually to improve the quality of life for older adults, either through education, advocacy, sorry, let me move this on, no, or community action. So we do a few things: publication of the senior magazine, organizing conference, interviewing prominent Malaysians, promoting lifelong learning, strengthening partnership with stakeholders, with various stakeholders, and engaging the authorities to champion older adults. Sorry. So who are we? So the key people who are in our association, okay, we have the patrons. There are two patrons, that is our former Prime Minister Tun Dr. Mahathir and Tan Sri Dr. Sun Siu Hong. Tan Sri Dr. Sun is 96 years old this year, and he's our advisor. He actually inspired us to produce the senior magazine. And we have our publication advisor, Dr. Sri Asman Ujang, the former Bernama chairman. All right. And these are some of our key committee members. My deputy president and editor is a former retired Air Force General, Dato' Muslim Ayub. And Andy Uy is our treasurer, and Alvin Ho is our secretary. Right. So these are the magazines, quarterly magazine that we publish, and is available in all major bookstores, including places like Kinokuniya and KLCC, Times, bookstores, Popular, so on and so forth, and also in airports. Okay, it's also available in airports. Very sorry about this chicken outside. Okay, so this is some of the magazines that we produce, featuring various seniors. All right. So this is Tan Sri Song, our advisor, and this is Tengku Nor Zakir, the founder of Kenanga Investment Bank. And this is Madam Sue, founder of Green Acres in Ipoh, retirement village. And of course, this Tun Siti Hasma, Prime Minister, former Prime Minister's wife. This is the launch of our magazine in February 2017, PetroScience KLCC. This is Dr. Sun. He's the president for the National Council of Senior Citizens Organization, Malaysia, or NESCOM. They represent more than 20,000 senior citizens in Malaysia. Datuk Sun is also the president for the Malaysian Chemist. This is Tan Sri Song, and this is Tengku Nasaria, the former CEO of PetroScience. So it was a big, happy event at the launch in PetroScience KLCC. Right. So we are very happy that there are many heads of organization from NGOs or corporates or even business council attending for the first time, coming together. All right. We have people like Datuk Baginda, Malim Baginda. He's the president at the time of Usia Mas. This is Datuk Sun again, representative from the Australian Embassy. This Peter Chong from Bandar Utama, U3A, University of Third Age. And then we're also very happy to have this person called Mr. Samuel Ng. He's the president for Parkinson Perak. All right, and he himself suffered from the disease Parkinson, and he make an effort to travel all the way from Ipoh early in the morning by train to KL just to attend our conference. So we are very honored actually. And also Miss Lily Fu, Madam Lily Fu, she's the founder of Senior Allowed. And also we have Mr. Lee Howard, the great grandson of Mr. John Howard. He's the president for the Malaysian Australian Business Council. All right, so we are really blessed and privileged to have all these people supporting us. So just a bit of marketing. Please write to us if you want to support and subscribe to our senior magazine. It's called The Senior for information. So this is the email address, thirdagemediamind@gmail.com, or to our secretary, okk2000@hotmail.com. Right. So once we receive your order form and payment, we will send the magazine to you by courier or post. Right. So our digital magazine is available for subscription also on maxter.com. Right. Okay. Let's look at what we do. Beside magazine, we also organize conferences and exhibition. These are the conferences that we do. This one is upcoming on 3rd April, the National Coalition of CSO on Aging in Menara, Kuala Lumpur. But this one is by invitation only. And then we are taking part as an official media partner of the ASEAN Senior Care and Wellness Exhibition and Expo, all right, at KLCC on 28 to 29 May. All right. So this is our first conference, Aging, Learning and Technology, Enriching Lives, Connecting Communities, which was held in PetroScience KLCC. So we are very privileged to have at the time of our first conference, Tun Mahathir, who was our VVIP, who has given the keynote address. Now, at the time, he was very popular because the Pakatan Harapan government just won the election, the general election GE14. And there were so many people coming for the conference that some of them we have to, because of limited space, we have to reject. All right. So this is the attendance at the conference, well covered by many medias from The Star, Bernama, Sinchu, and so on and so forth. So let me play a video of the conference, the first conference. Thank you.
Thank you for staying with us. Prime Minister Tun Dr. Mahathir Mohamad has urged senior citizens in Malaysia to maintain their physical and mental fitness by actively reading, writing, and even quarrelling. Dr. Mahathir revealed that one of the many ways he continues to stay active at 93 was to continuously come up with ideas in managing the government.
But it is not only the body, the muscle, but also your brain. If you don't use your brain, it tends to regress. Then the ability to think, to talk, to lecture, to speak out, to complain, that will go. Because the brain is no longer functioning. Because you, like the muscle, you don't use it.
He was speaking at the conference on aging, learning and technology, enriching lives, connecting communities at Kuala Lumpur on Saturday. Dr. Mahathir told the 100-strong audience that people age faster if they did not actively use their muscles and brain power. Dr. Mahathir, in jest, said his fallout and clash with the previous Prime Minister has kept his brain active even in his old age.
It is good for old people to read, to write, and also to quarrel, because that exercises your brain. Now, I had a big quarrel with the previous Prime Minister.
Also present was his wife, Dr. Siti Hasma Muhammad Ali, and Third Age Media Association President Cheah Tak Wing.
Okay, this is the second conference, Life 2 Years, Longevity, Health and Wellness Conference and Exhibition at the Sun Med Convention Center, that is Sunway Medical Center in 2019. So here, in this particular conference, we want to make it something fun and musical for the seniors as well, besides the informative. So we have invited our stand-up comedian, number one, Malaysian stand-up comedian, Harif Iskandar, and also Donnie Ray Radford of the Pledges, to sing and dance for us. The seniors really enjoy this one, right? So the attendance is well attended by seniors from all over the country, and it was featured in Bernama before the conference. So, and this is the appreciation dinner. Okay, here we have the online workshops that recently completed, 12 and 19 January, for all the civil society organization. It's called Capacity Building for CSO on Aging. All right, so covering workshop like governance, finance, people, and activity. So it will accumulate to the main event on the 3rd of April. That is the National Coalition on Aging, all right, at KL Towers. So this event actually has been postponed a number of times already because of the pandemic. So we decided to go online to build the momentum to the main event on the 3rd of April. So this is a sample of the online workshop. We have speakers from Magic, that's on innovation and on social enterprise and all. So another thing we do is we interview prominent seniors, right? Right. So these are the individuals that we interview. Let me play a short video of the interview that we have conducted for our former Prime Minister, Tun Dr. Mahathir.
What is the third age? Many people ask. The third age is when a person can officially call themselves a senior citizen. And this group is growing rapidly as Malaysia gallops towards being an aging society. I'm Evelyn Samuel from the Third Age Media Association, because this group has got tremendous social and economic impact, and we produce a monthly magazine called The Senior. And we have our senior people here today to interview the world's oldest elected leader, who is also Malaysia's Prime Minister, Tun Dr. Mahathir Mohamad. Conducting the interview today are the founding president of the Third Age Media Association, Mr. Cheah, and the editor of the Senior magazine, who is Datuk Muslim Ayu.
Very good morning to you, Tun.
Good morning.
And we thank you for this opportunity to, despite your very busy schedule, we understand. So we are very grateful. Myself and Datuk Muslim, I'm Mr. Cheah Tak Wing, and Datuk Muslim is our editor for our magazine. We are from the Third Age Media Association for KL and Selangor. And my first question to Tun would be, that Malaysia will be reaching an aging nation soon. In 2020, we will be having something like 3.6 million of people above 60 and above. And 2040, we will be reaching something like 8.2 million. It's expected, these are the numbers. So what are the plans government has for this group of people which is growing rapidly now?
We have been adjusting the age of retirement because people now are more healthy, and even after the retirement age of 55, they are still able to work and function well. So that has been adjusted to 60 now. Mm-hmm. And in many countries now, they don't have a retirement age. For as long as you can work, you work. So that means that old people will be able to continue earning a living and not be dependent upon pension. Pension, of course, is not enough. And they are going to live for a much longer time. So pension cost is very high because people live long after pensionable age. The other thing is, of course, that we worry about is if these people don't live and be pensioned off, then the place will not be vacant for younger people. This is something that we need to study. We don't want to deprive younger people of opportunities for promotion. Having taken that into consideration, we have to think in terms of caring for the old people.
Okay, here we also do active or promote active aging and lifelong learning. So these are some of the places that we visited together with seniors from other organizations. So this is a visit to Nestle, learning how to cook. And this is the, let me go through the actual pictures. So this is a visit to, Mini Cameron in Genting. Okay, this one is attending seminars, on biomass in Simpan Regam. All right, so they also learn about how palm oil, empty fruit branches are converted into briquettes and all those for burnings, industrial burning, and also how even the palm oil trunk can be recycled and used as furnitures and plywoods. All right, so very interesting. So it's not just a visit, but also learning at the same time. Now this is a visit to Kuching, International Summit on Retirement Village, where participants coming from Singapore, from Japan, from Korea, Indonesia, sharing their experiences of retirement villages in their respective countries. So after this, we visited Eden on the Park in Kuching. And here, this is the Nestle Retirees Association members supporting our publication. We also have activities together. So we are grateful for people from members from their association. And this is a visit to Auto Foundation. All right. This is also another senior center promoting active living. It's founded by this lady called Madam Lin Chua. She's the granddaughter of Yap Hwan Sing, who's actually a famous captain in Kuala Lumpur. So she has this place promoting farming for seniors and other activities where you can learn computers and all this. Right, so this is the same one I mentioned just now. These are talks, and this one is the first World Congress on Force and Postural Stability that we were invited to attend. It's an international conference where we get to meet a lot of international experts relating to these seniors. Okay, this is some visit to a durian farm in Muar. They export Musang quality Musang to Japan, Korea, and Singapore. So these are high-grade Musang, and we get to taste as much as we like. So we are really fortunate. So this is a visit, and this is a visit to Bandar Utama rooftop garden. And this is a visit to Master Cheah Sindran Berhad. They are involved in making equipments for air pollution control. So we learn a lot of things here also. And this is a plywood factory using oil palm trunk for making plywood. These are hiking trips in Bukit Taman Tugu. This is in Sekinchang. This is in Port Dickson. This is in Bukit Tinggi. This is in Bentong. This is also a visit to the various retirement villages to learn about what sort of facilities to provide. And now this is in Resident Toy in Setia Alam. So it's a high-end condominiums, high-rise condominiums for seniors. This will be ready by 2023. And this is in Green Acres in Ipoh, Meru. This one is low-rise and brick and mortar kind of thing. You have to buy the units. And these are all age in place. Basically, you get all the age-friendly facilities provided. And this in Oriel in Bukit Tinggi. They are all, this one is low-density, high-rise condominiums. All right. This will be maybe in 4 or 5 years' time. Right? And this one is in Kuching, Eden on the Park. These are high-rise and low-rise, age-friendly community living. And they started with a care center, meaning to help those who are dependent. Right? Okay, this is a visit to various institutions. Monash University, all right, we talk about programs for seniors, short programs, and this is a visit to their Jurong Technology Lab, all right, where they do research and also produce assistive devices to help seniors. This is a visit to PetroScience CEO, and this is to Xiamen University in Nilai, and this is a collaboration with the Royal Selangor Golf Club, where we have an editorial collaboration where articles, they can use some of our articles for their magazine, and we can use some of their own articles. They have, I think, 60% of their golf members who are above 70 years old. And here we have our first editor, Madam Lily Fu, who went to Hong Kong and visited the Hong Kong University, and she was kind enough to promote our magazine there. Right. Okay, this is another lifelong learning activity that we participated. This is a graduation ceremony at UST Third Age Bandar Utama U3A. There are three U3A in KL and Selangor. One is in Bandar Utama. The second one is in Petaling Jaya, and the biggest one is in Kuala Lumpur, Selangor, based in Serdang. All right. So these are the things they do. All right. They organize a short program like calligraphy, ukulele, ballroom dancing, flower arrangement, and so on and so forth. So these are all happy people. Huh? So most important, to be happy, you must get yourself engaged. Now this advocacy work, Third Age Media is trying to move into this slowly, basically to lobby for the needs and wants of seniors by getting the government to pay attention to seniors. As we know that nowadays there are a lot of needs that is not fulfilled, and the government has to step in to help seniors, especially those who are from the low income. All right, they really need the support of the government. So we feel that Third Age Media is in the best position through our media and our conference and events. We hope that information through our senior magazine and conferences, the government will pay attention to the issues and challenges that we highlight in our media. So I think especially when issues and challenges are being highlighted to the public and the authorities through the media, people will pay attention. So I think Third Age Media Association is well placed to do this. Okay, now the association, Third Age Media, is also involved in giving back to the society, especially the age community, through our caring and sharing program. Here, we have given a small sum of money to the Society of Prevention of Cruelty to Animals, or SPCA, in Ampang, and we're also encouraging seniors to take part as a volunteer in animal welfare, right? And here we are supporting Vista in promoting good eyesight for seniors, and we also give some money to U3A, and also helping individuals like this couple, this lady, Mrs. Kong, who suffer from breast cancer advanced stage. So we contributed some money to her, and also to another person who has lost a limb. This is also a fundraising dinner for NESCOM, the Council of Senior Citizens of Malaysia. We also has worked with other organizations during the pandemic to provide the personal protection equipments, food and sanitizers during the pandemic period. And also this coming conference on 3rd April, we're also contributing some money to the Malaysian Association for the Blind. So you see that it's not just about taking, but we also give. It's very important to be always be giving, so that we become useful. And these are some of the strategic partners that we work with. We work with the Sunway Medical Center. This is the MD for Sunway Medical Center, Mr. Lau Bing Long. And this is the United Nations Population Fund, which is actually sponsoring our conference on April the 3rd. This is a representative from UMFPA with our magazine. And this is Tengku Nozakia with our magazine also. And this is our discussion at Monash University, and our visit to My Aging, UPM, our long-time partner. And also we were invited to participate in the launch of the discount card for senior citizen at Eon Big. All right. So these are strategic partners, some of our strategic partners. So we are very blessed, especially after Tun Mahathir launched our first conference in 2018. We have many big corporations and institutions coming to support Third Age Media Association. Right? Okay, as a summary, most important is that seniors must be happy. They must not worry too much. All right. So don't worry, be happy. Now, in order to live a successful golden age after retirement, number one, you must be financially independent. Meaning to say, you must have enough savings. If not, please continue to work. All right. Anyway, working after retirement is also good, whether part-time or full-time, because it keeps your mind and body active and healthy. Number two, no, you must not have any liabilities if possible. And then beware of financial scams, because knowing that a lot of scammers are targeting senior citizens, especially those who have properties and assets, money, they are after your money actually. So be careful. Don't simply, believe in WhatsApp messages about, high returns, investment projects and stuff like that. No? Especially those with high returns, be careful. Number two is maintain a healthy lifestyle, both body and mind. The mind especially is very important. No? Once you get into depression and all those, you have a lot of problems. And have a positive mindset and positive thinking. Focus on good nutrition, very important. Balanced nutrition, and always refrain from unhealthy habits like smoking and drinking. Please go for regular medical check, to make sure your blood pressure, sugar level, are okay. Then number three, engage with the community. Either join a club or association so that you become active and learn new skill, new talents. There are a lot of community centers called Paway, set up by the government under Ministry of Women and Welfare. Paway stands for Pusat Activity Warga Mas. They are given actually government grants. The government this year, I think, giving 50,000 per center per year. But of course, it has to be regulated. They will check your accounts, audit your accounts and all those, and make sure the activities are done properly. So, and of course, make new friends. And lastly, this list may not be exhaustive, but these are some of the key things. Lastly, engage in lifelong learning. Whether it's educational, I visited the National Library recently, and I was pleased to see a few senior citizens pursuing masters and PhD degree in the local university. So that's a good sign. Make use of your time, or even social programs. So travel and see new places, meet new people. Very important. Always be, either meeting with your peers or meeting with the young people is good. When you meet young people, you feel young yourself, right? And of course, have a hobby. Either learning cooking, gardening, ballroom dancing, or whatever. All right. So I want to end this with some word of wisdom from this American comedian, actor, and singer called George Burns. Right, many from our era will know him. All right, we see him on TV. So what he says is that you can't help getting older, but you don't have to be old. So this is important. So our body, we cannot stop it from getting old. Our body, but our thinking is very important. We don't need to think that we are old. All right, that means we still can enjoy life. You know, we still can do things that so long we are able to do. Don't press it too hard. I mean, don't go too far. What I'm saying, don't go and do what do you call it, bungee jumping and all those that. I mean, some may still do it, no. But if you think that you can do it, go ahead and do it, no. But don't limit yourself. Don't constrain yourself with the thinking that you can't do it, no. So God made us with a body that it is amazing, no. With a spirit also, which is the human spirit is really amazing, no? So always remember to always give praise and glory to God, you know, eventually, because then only you will have peace, you know, and you will enjoy life to the fullest. So thank you very much, and I hope you will enjoy the rest of the day with the last talk. Thank you. Sorry, before I go off, please reach out to Third Age Media Association through our website here, www.thirdagemedia.org, or through our Facebook, The Senior Mag. Or if you want to watch all our videos of our interview with Tu Mahathir, the full video of the Bernama interviews and all those other things, you can go to YouTube at bit.ly/Tama3, all right? And email us at thirdagemediamy@gmail.com. All right. So thank you again, and you have a good day.
Thank you, Mr. Cheah, for the insightful and fruitful sharing. So now we know sort of how to age successfully, healthily, and actively. Okay, you can't help to get old, but you don't have to be old. Okay, that's the thing that we can take home. Okay, don't worry, be happy. Okay, so now we truly understand what third age means. Okay, initially when I saw Third Age Media Association, I thought, okay, another magazine company. But now I know. Now I truly understand what third age really means. Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Cheah, for the sharing. Okay, so up till now, we have grandparenting in Malaysia, the findings, what are some of the stresses or the happiness they gain from parenting their grandchildren. And we also have some tips to live happily, to spend our golden days, okay? And also how to lead a healthy and active life when we age, okay? As we age especially. Okay, now let's listen to Prof. Parameshvara's talk about elderly and psychosocial stresses. Please welcome Prof. Deva.
Okay, now I'm unmuted. I hope everybody can hear me. Good morning.
Yeah, we can hear you. Good morning.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you for also Mr. Cheah for that very elaborate coverage of the wonderful things that are being done in old age and by your society, which has done marvelous work. I've heard about the society very briefly, but I didn't know what you all did. And I think I must really thank you very, very much for enlightening all of us on this. There are many suggestions and many ideas that have cropped up during your talk, which I might want to add to the question and answer session. Anyway, thank you very much. Let me share screen. I hope this machine works. Okay. Can everyone see that?
Yeah,
Yes.
we can see that, Prof. Deva. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
You can share full screen if you want.
Yeah, I'm going to do that. Okay.
Yeah, it's good. Thank you.
Okay. So just a brief introduction about myself. I work in the Sungai Long campus at UTAR. Of course, since COVID, I'm working from home in Shah Alam. I've been to the campus maybe 5 or 6 times in the last year for urgent matters. Otherwise, we are all affected by this COVID era of teaching, online teaching or OTL. It's got many good and bad things. The good thing is that it has really stimulated the use of webinars like today. So we reach out to today, I think 261 participants, which I never have a chance to do while I'm teaching my medical students or nursing students, or even the public for that matter, when I give lectures. First of all, I'd like to just quickly go through, although this has been actually mentioned by both the previous speakers, Dr. Gan and Mr. Cheah, this question of how old is old is burning question, still not fully resolved. When I was a student in school, old was 50 years old. 50 years is the end of the earth. You know, we just couldn't imagine what 50 years, because we were all 10, 12, 14, 15 years old. And most people after 50 died. Anyway, retirement age was 55. So we assume once your retirement age is just waiting for death to take place. So the young look at the older and see them as old. If you're 40, that's very old. My medical students, even today, sometimes I hear them presenting patient's history, and they say, oh, he's in his old age. How old is he? He's 41. So of course, those who are 41 feel very insulted, you know, that 41 is not considered old. But the reality is that the so-called old age is like a moving goalpost, you know, is going further and further back, because the life expectancy in Malaysia has gone well above 75 now. So if you're born today, you would probably live to at least 75, if not 80. So that was not the case 50 years ago. They all look at the young and the older and see themselves as young. So if you ask a 55-year-old man who's just retired, or 60-year-old man who's retired, he said, oh, he's very old. How old is he? 75. So they look on anybody older as old, but they themselves are not old. So in fact, many of them don't look on themselves as old, even when they're really chronologically or years-wise old. So the question many people, in fact, very common mistake students make when I teach them is, retirement is considered a cutoff point. What they don't realize is what Tun Mahathir mentioned in the interview just now, that the retirement age also needs to be changed, because people are living longer, healthy lives, not just living longer, but healthy lives. And the productivity of people is going up and up. So you are as young as you feel. So that's a better definition. You're old or young as you feel. If you feel young, then you are young. You don't feel old. Others think you are old, but it doesn't matter what they think. It's you who matters most in your life. Your health determines what you are. Psychologically versus chronic illnesses also tend to be another factor, because even if you are relatively young, you're 55, but you have a major illness, or you are disabled in some way, your arthritis, you can't walk, then everybody considers you as old, because you're really in an age when you're unable to function as well as you're at a young age. Other people are 50 look much fitter because they're not disabled. Life expectancy now well into the 70s, in fact 75, 78, but was not in the 50s, just 50 years ago. Many diseases of old age were not there. So that you find in the elderly now, they fill up the clinics with all sorts of diseases which I, as a medical student, did not see those days so commonly. We did see cancer, but it was not so common. Nowadays, cancer is very common because people are living up to 68, 69, when these diseases like cancer tend to be more common. Young people are generally healthy. So the price of living older is that you're also likely to be exposed to one of these serious problems of health. Now, this is a famous picture of a man in England who is a well-known runner. He took part in many marathons, and he's 100 years old, you believe it or not. Now, how is that he managed to pass all the hurdles of disease and illness and disability and so on, and reach this age of 100 when he's able to still keep up with the other marathon runners who are in their 40s and 30s and 20s? You know, that's because of very important factor in aging, that you got to prepare for old age. We prepare to get a job, prepare to go to university, prepare to finish our exams in school, and prepare to get a good job. But very rarely, even today, very rarely anybody prepares for old age. They think that young age will last forever. So there are issues of longer life. The longer you live, many things come up. Socio-economic factors, from my experience of seeing patients, of course, they are patients, they come to me for problems. Socio-economic factors is a major factor. The longer life means need for more economic support and resources. Why? Because when you're younger, you are able to work and provide that support for yourself. Money is coming in because you're working. Your wife is working, your children are working, everybody's working. Suddenly at retirement, or when you are disabled, or when you're ill with a major illness, the source of economic support for yourself diminishes in small or big ways. Physical environment for the elderly, such as housing, access, facilities, are practically non-existent. When I went to study in Britain, I was very surprised that the facilities for wheelchair users is tremendous. Every road has got a method by which a wheelchair can go up the ramp. Whereas in Malaysia, if you have a wheelchair, you have a tough time getting off the pavement. So countries like Britain and other highly developed countries, richer countries with more experience, and of course, being through many wars, have provided for the disabled and for the elderly much more than the developing countries. As I said, health issues, vital organs, mobility, and access, all affected by health. Health factors are affected during old age. But there are also psychosocial factors. Life expectancy increasing with better health, medical complications of old age slow to be addressed, so that even a geriatric department or unit is not found in every hospital. I think the University of Malaya, where I worked for 28 years, started a geriatric ward or geriatric unit only in the late 1990s, in fact, into 2000. Before that, they didn't have a geriatric ward. Why? Perhaps the demand was not there. But now more and more elderly patients coming with many complications, and they had to start. So now the profession of geriatricians or doctors involved in care of the elderly is now becoming more and more common. Hypertension, diabetes, heart, coronary vascular disease, cerebrovascular disease, degenerative joints, vessels, and risk of falls are all major problems of old age, not young age. Life expectancy, earning capacity, and social security, higher need for treatments and less mobility. The cost of private healthcare is horrendous. You can't believe that if you get admitted in old age, or even a fall or something where no major damage has been done, but you need observation and investigation to find out whether you're fit or not, or get you back on your feet, for just 5 or 6 days may cost you about 7,000 to 10,000 ringgit. And if you're admitted in the ICU, the cost can be tens of thousands of ringgit. So it's a whole new ball game of adjusting to the realities of getting old. Preparing for old age, as I said, the bigger problem is that we don't seem to be preparing for old age. No doubt the government talks about it, organizations like Mr. Cheah founded has been trying very hard to push the agenda forward. But unfortunately, in reality, if you go to an office or you go to a department or you go to a shop, the facilities for the elderly is very, very poor. So what happens is there's no preparation either in society or for the individual. Prevention of problems needs very early start. So you got to invest in the reality of old age. Majority of people live well past 70 years in the future. So are we prepared for that? In the house, outside the house, in the bank, in the EPF, in the facilities and social services that are available. Nothing remains the same. I think it was Gautama Buddha who said, nothing remains the same, and you must be prepared for that. Depending on others is a very risky policy. In the past, when people were younger, I think the elderly were like 55, 60, and the families were more united, more together, and large families, sometimes 2 generations, 3 generations lived in the same house, and there was codependence. The elderly will look after the younger ones. What Dr. Gunn said very eloquently about research, that elderly people feel very useful, that they can contribute within that setting to helping the others, not financially, because usually they've stopped producing money, but by looking after the younger ones, being a role model for the young couples who are getting married, and being there when they are both starting to work. During my years as a student, it was very unusual to find a mother, working. Most of my friends' mothers and schoolmates' mothers were all housewives. Now it's just the opposite. You don't find many housewives anymore. All of them are working. Even if they were housewives, or even if they're not working, they're working before. After marriage, many of them become housewives, although the earning capacity is quite good. So I've done some research in this area, and I found that looking after children is now becoming less and less of a preferred occupation by the families. Children and their views and plans also are changing very fast. Those days, you always think of grandparents and parents as people that you love and you depend on, and they depend on you. But nowadays, they've got their own plan. The world is much bigger. Everything is opened up. YouTube shows that many things are possible, which is not possible in Malaysia. People want to travel. People want to move. People don't want to work. They live, born and brought up in Tanjung Karang, but they all want to be working in KL. I worked in Ipoh for a while. Ipoh is like a sunset town because during the school holidays, it's very crowded. During the rest of the year, it's very quiet because everybody's working outside. Why? Good question. I myself never found out. So dynamics of strong and weak personalities in old age shows up. If you're a strong personality, you're still thinking of continuing to work, continuing to contribute in some way, continuing to help in some way, then you might be luckier. But if you're a weak personality, you get buffeted by the strong winds of old age. Keeping reserves and being independent, this has been emphasized by Mr. Cheah very eloquently. Being independent is very, very important. Building up reserves, I cannot overemphasize this. I'll tell you why when I come to tell you about the center that we run. Psychological illnesses of old age, anxiety, very common because the people are worried, what's going to happen? My health, who's going to pay for the bills? My son is now going overseas. He's not sending as much money as he used to. Depression, much commoner in old age than younger age. Its per capita is much more. And physical illnesses and complications, as I've mentioned, also occur, the serious ones in old age. Organic mental illness and dementias, when you actually lose your mental capacity to do common things, remember common things, and so on. Physical illnesses, preventable, controllable diseases like hypertension, obesity, diabetes, and heart disease are neglected because nobody thinks about. These are what they call the diseases, so-called lifestyle diseases, smoking too much, drinking too much, not controlling your obesity, not exercising enough, and the consequent diabetes and heart disease. For those already ill, mobility issues become a big problem. Self-care, medical support, living alone, and keeping up to a routine become huge burdens in old age. Very ill persons, of course, not everybody is lucky to escape all this, but some people, I've come across people even in their 60s, late 60s, developed a stroke. Two friends of mine were very, very young, in their 60s actually, late 60s, when they got strokes. And in fact, after that, they could not function at all. Post-heart attack, you've got to be very careful, take a lot of medicines, you've got regular checkups, and of course, cancer survivors. Although the word cancer survivors now become very popular, and especially among women with breast cancer, which can occur at a much younger age, it is still a relatively rare phenomenon that people are still not very proud of the fact that they got cancer and they're surviving that. They don't want to mention it, and they're not very keen to mix with others. Counseling, social and medical assistance, and supportive care for the elderly is gradually developing, but unfortunately not as much as is needed. Scarcity of carers, as you all very well know, we have got thousands upon thousands of carers looking after the elderly, looking after children from our neighboring countries. From the ASEAN countries, we have lots and lots of people coming here to work because the elderly are unable to be cared for within the family as was done 50 years ago. Things are changing very fast. And even in my own family, I've come across many people who will really have to depend on carers. So who's going to pay for the carers? That's a different ballgame. Even in developed societies, increasing use of imported maids from other countries, maid agencies, thriving industry in Hong Kong, Singapore, Malaysia, Middle East, and Taiwan, not to mention the much richer countries, where they're very strict about this, but still it is there. Coping with old age, many with good resources, those who have been careful and saved up enough money, psychological as well as material, do well. Poor lifestyles in young age shows up in old age. Spouse, children, dynamics also change. Nothing remains the same. Husband and wife may be tolerating each other through younger age. The moment they become old, they said, I don't want to be bullied by you anymore. I've come across many, many cases where the children have told the mother, Mom, I know dad has been bullying you all along. You don't have to get bullied anymore. Come and stay with us. And the husband is suddenly left alone. And one husband, literally, he was about 70 years old. He came and cried, a 70-year-old man crying because he has nobody looking after him. He did not know how to make a cup of coffee because his wife has been doing all the donkey's job for all these years. So this kind of change in dynamics, change in the family structure, change in the place where you stay, all tend to be big problems. So keeping routines is very important. Retirement should be the age of doing what you could not do in younger age. Not as if I finished everything, I got nothing else to do. Not a period of 20 years of rest and waiting for death. This is the worst attitude to take when you are younger and middle age and going into old age. When you retire, what do? You must have a plan. You should have planned for retirement financially and psychologically and occupationally. Well before the 55 years government said you are pension. You must prepare for this. So what the smarter people do is they realize that the pension, if they get a government pension, or the EPF is nowhere near enough. So they start thinking of investing in maybe a house which they can rent out, or they can sell it when they're in need of money, rather than just sit down and wait for the pension. And the reality is that the pension, many of you don't know this, especially the younger in this group, many of you do not know this. The pension is actually, for most people, about quarter of what you earned on the last day of your working life. Not half. That's what you think. If you're getting $8,000 when you retired, the day you retired, you'll find that the allowances were more than $3,500. What they give you as a pension is 50% of your basic pay. And what is 50% of your basic pay? Is quarter of your whole pay. No matter you're old, you say, oh, now I'm not working, I don't need that much of money. That is not true. Most people still require a fairly large amount of money. Their expenditure doesn't drop with age. It actually increases because of your health and other reasons. There's also another thing which actually I would like to discuss with Mr. Cheah later on, helping others, keeping active. Now, I happen to have spent quite a lot of my post-retirement years overseas and working for NGOs and other agencies, which I shall not mention in detail. And I found that people like me who had already retired actually from University of Malaya could actually contribute so much more to other poorer countries and get the benefit, not always money, because money in poorer countries is very little. I was doing more voluntary work than money. And I found that the satisfaction of sharing my expertise with those countries was tremendous in keeping myself going. So helping others and keeping active is a very important part of this process. Now, many people are thinking, oh, I'll pay pension, so I'll get EPF and money. Well, unfortunately, the government support you're thinking of is not enough. Clearly, during the COVID, it's become a crisis, proving risky to rely on. Preparing for old age needs something more than pension fund and side investments. It requires side investments. So when you look at KWSP, don't think this is the answer to all your solutions. This should be an answer. Unfortunately, many people, more than 30%, have withdrawn almost all their money before they come into old age, because you can take it out for housing, for medical expenses, for education, and so on and so forth. This is roughly what people think an ideal retirement should be like. The EPF will grow more and more, and your old age, you have all this money, you have a roof over your head, everything should be good. Now, sadly, that's not true. So what do? They said, oh, my children will look after me. I'll just tell you one example that occurred in the last few months. Just one example of a person we know very closely. We, in fact, used to enjoy visiting each other for New Year and, invite each other for dinner and all that very well. Suddenly, maybe about 7 or 8 years ago, one day he couldn't come. We rang him up and said, well, why are you not coming? And he said, I'm coming. Then we rang up after and said, no, I can't find my keys. More than half an hour, he could not find the key. I don't know whether he would have been able to drive up to the restaurant we were at. Actually, he was dementing. And to cut a long story short, he got worse and worse. He was admitted in a nursing home. Then they came back because they got a maid, and the maid looking after them. Suddenly he got worse. He developed all the complications, diabetes, renal failure, this and that, and he died. He has 3 children, all of whom are professionals, doing very well. 2 of them very far overseas, 1 in Singapore. Do you know, none of them came for the funeral or when he was seriously ill. Of course, the reason is COVID. We sent all the documents to say, please come. We got letters from the doctors to confirm that he's in a very serious state, please come. They didn't come. And they didn't come after the death either. Now there's strong possibility they're looking at the will. So the stark reality is, even in normal time, 30% have used up the savings at retirement. In COVID times, don't ask me, I don't know. Retirement is largely a mirage. It keeps on going further and further away. Counseling issues, very important, is not advice giving. For people in this kind of problems, you need very detailed counseling, and you've got to work out a solution. Counseling is basically working out a solution with the support from the counselor or others in the therapy group. Now, just to end, I'd like to show you this picture. A long time ago, I think going back to more than 20 years ago, I started going into primary care psychiatry. That means psychiatry for general practice. And about 25 to 30% of all general practice patients have significant psychiatric stress. So I started a stress management center in UTAR. This is a picture of the stress management center, which is actually a container. The whole process here cost, including the furniture and everything, less than 10,000 ringgit. And we see a lot of elderly patients with stress. And the students enjoy it because they get a chance to see a different kind of patient, what you see in the psychiatric ward, most of whom are quite seriously psychotic or depressed. And even during Chinese New Year, we distribute oranges to the patients to thank them for giving us the chance to see them. Most of them are elderly patients with a lot of emotional, psychological, financial problems, family problems, and so on, to help these young doctors become better doctors. Thank you very much. If there are any questions, I'll be happy to answer them. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Prof, for the, again, very insightful sharing based on the research experience and the observation of the society and whatever happened around. Okay, so we have come to not the end of this talk. We are just about to enter the Q&A session. Okay, so based on what we see in the chat box, we have 4 questions. So I would like to read the questions, okay, so that our panel speakers can, I would like to share my screen so that our panel speakers can view the questions. And to all participants, we have shared the feedback form in the chat box. So you may fill in the feedback form so that we know how to improve and what to improve. And to one participant that goes by the name Oppo F5, you have raised your hand. So I will, if you are okay with that, I will unmute you and let you ask the question if you want, or you can just type your question in the chat box. Okay. The first question would be from, let me share my screen. Okay. Please allow me to share my screen. Okay, so we have, now the first 2 questions are, can our guest speakers see the screen?
Yes, good. Yeah, thank you.
Right, so our 2 similar questions, but they're not too similar, but they are related. So the first question comes from our beloved Dr. Grace Yap. Okay, good morning, Dr. Gan. I'm interested in quality aging. Would you like to comment on grandparents who are not committed to babysitting grandchildren? Wouldn't they have quality life for reinvesting their time to pursue unfulfilled passion? Okay, this is question 1. Question 2 by Lim Ahlan. So he or she said, many seniors are now very active. That's true. They are financially independent and like to travel. If they are involved in taking care of their grandchildren full time, they would not have time to relax and enjoy their golden years. So what's your comment, Dr. Gan?
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Lee. So, yeah, as you mentioned, there are some similarities between these 2 questions. So, there are some limitations in our research because we only recruit those full-time caregiver because we actually focus on the skip generation family, means those family or household have only grandparents and grandchildren. So there are some grandparents or elderly, they might think they have the freedoms, they are very happy with their life, even though they didn't actually taking any role as the caregiver. So what we can actually know is from the perspective of those full-time caregiver, I also had some experience to talk with I can actually see the changes from grandmothers who previously is a full-time caregiver and now she is actually have the freedoms. She just have to take care of herself. So what she said is she actually still very enjoy the time with her granddaughter. But right now, she also enjoy the life that she can go around with her friends, chit chat with her friends. So I would say you can only achieve active aging if you are taking care of your grandchildren. But if you are, it's quite a personal choice. Some of them maybe they feels good if they can have a combination with their grandchildren. But some people they rather to have more time with friends. So some of them actually say very tired. But at the same time when they actually sees, okay, their grandchild is growing up, they feels there is a happiness that they cannot actually describe. So I will say, if you are the persons that you think, okay, I will be very happy, okay, to be part of your families, maybe you can be the full-time caregiver. But if you think you need your me time, you need your personal space, then maybe it's not you can have it as well. You can actually talk with your adult children. And one more thing that I think is quite important is that because of COVID-19, as Prof. Deva also mentioned some of the points just now. So some of them actually miss their grandchildren very much. So if you are active aging, that you can freely travel, but the adult children might notice that even though your elderly parents rejected you, okay, means I don't that they might reject you the offer that you ask them to taking care of the grandchildren, but doesn't mean that they don't love your grandchildren. They don't love their grandchildren. Maybe they need their own space and time. So a simple video call sometimes make them feel they still have the linkage with family. So I think it's quite personal choice. So we don't have the result for that, so I can't actually tell you what is their feelings if they are not the full-time caregiver. They might achieve active aging as well. So the sample size in our study is we have actually in quantitative we have 97. We only recruit 97 full-time grandparents. They are the full-time caregiver. And we have around 30 in our qualitative part. We interview around 30 persons. But in this data set that we share, actually is around 8 grandparents on it, because we haven't analyzed all of the 30 set of data. Yeah. So, but somehow we already can see some saturated data based on those 8. Means actually they feel tired, but they feel still very happy with the combination of the grandchildren. Yeah. Thank you.
Can I say something to add to what Dr. Gardner has said?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, we are forums. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a communication between the grandparents and grandchildren, and even among brothers and sisters and others and friends and so on. My experience has been that the technology has gone far, far, far ahead of us. I think even the most experienced among us, that's not myself. I'm of the old generation, I'm not really that advanced. But the young generation, even if they are very close, very computer savvy and technologically savvy, they don't use that for the kind of communication that we are hoping will occur between the grandparents and them. I mean, how many kids in UTAR, I call them kids because I've got grandchildren. I see many of them are the same age as my grandchildren. And how many of them ring up their grandfather and say, "Grandpa, how are you?" Online. I'm not talking about phone. Phone is expensive, I mean, online is relatively cheap, or not messaging. I'm talking about a real voice and a real face, They said, "Granddad, how are you, man? How are you keeping? How's your health? How's your diabetes? Are you under control? Are you doing exercise? Why don't you come and visit us?" Things like that. That kind of communication, live communication among generations in the same family is hopeless. Hopeless. Recently, one of my nieces, who's 30 years younger than me, came up with the idea, why don't the whole family get over together? There are, just tracing from my father's family, there's my father and mother, and then how many of us, and we all got married and got grandchildren and blah, 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 altogether about 50. I think 52 or so. Many of them have not seen each other ever.
Oh, yeah.
They're overseas, they're not here. They are in 5 continents. But that's no excuse because FaceTime is available for donkey's years now. You know, internet is available. It doesn't need what you call COVID to bring up the webinar. You know? So we did it. We did it finally, and it was such a thrilling experience. I've got a sister who's 94 years old. Luckily, I visited her a few times because she lives in the other side of the world. Very expensive to get there. But when I happened to go in that area, I visited her. But we never get a chance. So I think this communication can be done much better if there's some commitment. Some commitment. Of course, what Dr. Gunn did is to study the grandparents and the grandchildren, which I think is marvelous because it really unearths the area of the grandparents feeling useful and wonderful to help look after the grandchildren. Now, of course, there are also problems the other side, that grandparents sometimes don't get along with the grandchildren, don't get along with their children. And the children don't want grandparents to interfere in the bringing up of the children. These are the realities. So those, we understand that. I think we can't cover everything, but certainly we can do more. That's my comment. Thank you.
Yeah, if I may add something as well, I totally agree with Prof. Deva. At the same time, I also agree on some of the things what Dr. Suwan has mentioned. But the thing is about getting time for the grandparents to actually use their time usefully for their own, whatever remaining time they have. I think they should be left to enjoy their retirement, no, and not just focus still on duties. I think it's not fair to impose this duty on them. They should be given time to enjoy their retirement. If for those who likes to take care of children, fine. I mean, go ahead and do it, but not as a full-time commitment. They should be given the free time to enjoy themselves. That's what I told my son also. I say, next time when you get married and have children, please make sure you have the resources to take care of your children. Don't expect your parents to take care of them. I think that is important. That they know for a fact that we also have our time for ourselves. We need the time for ourselves. And not. It's fine. We love children and we can take care of them, but not as a full-time commitment. So don't make it as an expectation that your parents will take care of your children. In those days, in our days, those days when we were children, the time, unfortunately, the situation has changed a lot. Those days, our mother was the one raising us up. But unfortunately, nowadays, because of financial reasons, both father and mother has to work because there's not enough money to put food on the table. So that's why it's an unfortunate thing. But I feel that, the raising of a family, our children especially, should be left to the mother. So I think that should be more ideal. But this is not possible now because of the financial problems faced by families. So we need a balance. We have to find ways to overcome this problem. And another thing is that I always like to tell the young people to make sure you spend time with your parents. Not only when they pass away, then it's too late already, even spending time in the morning, taking them out for breakfast when you can, and also even for movie occasionally, things like that, make them happy that they feel, they are loved. Because many elderly people, I find that they are very depressed because they feel that the young people are always, the young adults are always busy with their work, chasing after material things, and not really careful, So I think it's important that that there must be some changes needed in the family structure. So that is my take on this. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Prof. Deva, Dr. Gan, and Mr. Cheah. So let's look at more questions. Okay, we have very resounding audience. They have lots of questions. Okay. So this is from our beloved Miss Low. Okay, Miss Low was one of our UTAR, one of our beloved colleagues. So this is what she asked. What are the future plans to promote the mental and physical health of the underprivileged and marginalized group? And how can the association collaborate with NGO, corporate community and government in assisting elderly residing in old folks home? Because based on the presentation, the activities that mentioned by Mr. Cheah, they are activities for the educated and privileged. Is there any outreach for the marginalized elderly? Mr. Cheah?
Okay. Now, as you saw in some of the slides that we do encourage many seniors from other organizations to join with us in participating in those activities. But can I look at the question again, because it was no longer on? I can't see the question really.
Sure. Hold on.
Can you look at the question again?
Here you go.
Okay, so your question is that how can association collaborate with NGOs, corporate community, and government in assisting elderly residing in old folks home? Now, old folks home, I believe some of them do organize activity for their residents, and that's how they, even including taking them out on trips and visits to, there's an organization called Age Cope. They actually, it's an association actually looking after those registered elderly homes or old folks home. And they did a very fantastic job in helping these old folks who are staying there to actually be active and healthy, And so I think we can do a lot by collaboration. In fact, I mentioned also about the Pawai, this Pusat Warga Mas, which also is assisted by government. So the only problem is that those who are private, they are not given any funding. They have to be self-sustaining. So for this particular old folks home, it is quite challenging. That's why some of them are struggling, especially during the pandemic period. You find that there are lack of funds because there's very much reduced donations and collections. So unless they charge high fees, so this will affect their activities and even paying for the caregivers. So assistance from the government is important. So that's why we're encouraging all those who are not registered, the old folk homes, to actually get themselves registered. But at the same time, they must provide proper facilities, because quite a number of old folks home do not have properly trained caregivers. They just get some Indonesian maid to look after the people there, the residents. So that is not good. There's a lot of abuses going on in the old folks home, and a lot of things happening that is not good, for the elderly adults. So that's my take on that.
Can I just comment a little bit on that? I have over the years seen quite a lot of patients from the old folks home, and I must say I'm very disappointed. It's not only in this country, but I've worked overseas and very similar. The reason is that when patients are elderly and not able to be looked after by the family, there is a strong tendency to find a place to leave them. And the old folks home has become, in many instances, I'm not saying all, but in many instances, especially for the very poorest of society, has become a dumping ground for a variety of conditions, some of which is psychiatric and can be helped if they were given proper treatment and can be managed at home. But many of them are unmanageable, either physically, like for example, they're incontinent, they cannot control their urine and so on. They don't want to find a maid, which will cost a lot, put them in the nursing home. I mean, in the old folks home. So there's wrong diagnosis and mismanagement of a number of patients is not uncommon. I wouldn't say it's the norm, but not uncommon. That's one thing. The other thing is that because the old folks home are run by a variety of agencies, very often local government, and sometimes is a private, it doesn't often have the full range of expertise to screen them and see what more can be done for them. So this is the problem. The well-meaning and well-disposed people like corporations and all that are helping them, there's no doubt. They provide some outings for them, food and some kind of entertainment on and off. But this is comparatively small compared to the large number of patients who don't get much of this help. So this is my experience in dealing with many of the elderly and from the old folks' homes. Thank you.
Okay.
I totally agree with you, Prof. Deva, because I've seen even those wealthy families who so-called dump their parents or even father, mother at old folks' home, even though they can actually take care of them. It's a very sad situation. That's why we need to have a law, something like Singapore was doing, to ensure that the parents are provided with maintenance. Especially those who are well-to-do, the children who are well-to-do, they must make the effort to take care of their own parents and not dump them in old folks' home or left it to the government to take care of them. So the Parents Maintenance Act must take place. This is something that we need to look at. Thank you.
This is, you are absolutely right, Mr. Cheah. The whole range of activities geared towards the elderly, including, of course, those in the old folks home and all that. The elderly people's facilities, services, protection needs to be addressed in a legal form. Otherwise, what will happen is it's left to each person what they want to do. And I've been to other countries where things are even worse than here. I have dealt with, because I belong to certain organizations which cover the whole of Asia. And I found out that in Hong Kong, because it's such a high-pressured life, quite a lot of elderly people who have got mental problems are left in the mental hospital. And the relatives give the wrong address. Many of the relatives have migrated. They don't want this person to be at home, So when the patient is ready for discharge, the social worker has a tough time tracing where he's from. And sometimes they're dementing. So they have all kinds of problems dealing with the elderly in many countries, not only here. But we should be, as a relatively well-to-do country, should at least put a law that will minimize the bad effects of getting old. That society has got to realize that all of us are going to go old. Sure, right now, your grandfather is the one who's being dumped, but next day you may be dumped by your children. So the law part of it is quite important. I'm sure the law will not be fully effective everywhere to every person, but at least if we make a start, and this is where Mr. Cheah's association, with good connections at the highest level of society, can actually push for a law to be made that will address things like dumping. I mean, they use the word dumping, and I was very reluctant to use it, but
I agree with Prof. Deva, and this is one of our objectives, so that to increase the awareness for publics to know, to respect the elderly and try to think, how can we actually promote active aging? I think Mr. Sun, you have something to say, because I can see you raise your hands. Maybe we had overwhelming, we received overwhelming questions. So maybe Mr. Sun, if you have something to share, I think you try to unmute your mic so we can hear you. So meanwhile, Mr. Lee, maybe you can try to pick up some questions so that we try our best to answer all of the questions. Yeah, Mr. Sun, I think we can hear you now.
You can hear me.
Yeah, I can hear you clearly.
Let me share with you. Sorry to say, many of these problems, you all just know the surface. Aging and aging society is a very complicated issue. Even Dr. Gan, you are just touching the surface. Chinese grandmother, grandparents who look after their grandchildren. There are lots of them nowadays. They are not keen to do this type of work. looking young children 5 to 10 years old is not an easy thing, all right? So, and
Yeah, I
as
agree,
I
yeah.
think the other speaker have said, we want the grandparents to have their own time to enjoy their golden life, not again be burdened, continue the work from the office to the home. So I don't want to say more, but just very quickly, NESCOM is the National Council of Senior Citizen Organization. We have a total of 40 senior citizen clubs or association throughout Malaysia. So some of you want to be active, can go and join these clubs and all that. They have many functions, singing, dancing, calligraphy, computer class, so on, even organized trip, local and overseas, all right? This is an avenue. But very unfortunately, we are a multiracial country. As I told Ms. Gan, you are mainly focused on Chinese grandparents, all right? Even our club, they are mainly Chinese based, all right? I must admit, okay? So there's one thing. NESCOM is actually concerned about the aging society. I just want to highlight our main three concerns because by 2030, 15% of the population will be 60 and above. That goes under an age society, all right? We are concerned three main issues. I want to cut it short, all right? Financial security, all right? We have the EPF people, but 80% of them have less than 100,000 upon their retirement. How to cope with the 15 more years that they're expected to live, all right? We have the pensioner, all right? Pensioner, if you earn, you get less than 1,500 a month, that is not enough, all right? Then we use the word third sector, those housewives, taxi driver, laborer that have no social security upon their retirement. So that's what we want the government to seriously look into, social pension or any financial issue regarding to senior citizen or older people, all right? Other countries have practiced it. Some of them did very well. Australia.
I'm sorry to cut you short because we are approaching.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Sun,
for
for telling me this. Yeah, thank you.
If you want, I think this is a very long and even old folks home. We know a lot about old folks home. But Dr. Para, I want to mention to you, most of the old folks home that we know about, they are just not actually care home, okay? You come and stay, we give you food, you are sick, we send you to hospital and all that. This voluntary organization don't have the resources, all right? Ministry of Health want to set up a very professional act and all that. The act is...
Okay. Sorry, Miss.
Mr. Sun, I'm so sorry. We have 1 minute left. Okay, we have one last question. We pick from here. Okay, right. To our panel speakers, do you want to choose questions that?
Yeah, can I just answer quickly this?
Yes, please. Yes.
Lack of mental health literacy, mental stigma still affects seniors. Definitely. I think that the mental health services in the country is much better than neighboring countries. I must say I'm quite aware of the neighboring countries, but I think we need to do much more. For example, daycare centers, care for the elderly, geriatric clinics, things like that definitely will reduce the stigma because they will be given services and all the so-called abnormal behavior can be managed quite well with existing technology and medication. What is the best way to make an old individual near death be happy and not constantly count the days, if you know what I mean? Absolutely right. I think there is such a thing called care of those people who are, well, to put it very bluntly, dying patients. And that is part of the skills most psychiatrists have. That needs to be extended to general practitioners because they are the ones who see the dying patients more often than psychiatrists. So they need to be trained in this, how to cope with impending death and so on. And there's one more question. Is there a good palliative care center I can learn from as a volunteer? Absolutely. In PJ, there's a palliative care center. I can't give you the address offhand, but it is somewhere near the St. Paul's Church. So if you can look up the internet, I'm sure you'd be able to answer that. One last question there about warfarin. Yes, will taking a warfarin affect any aging patient emotionally and mentally? When my dad hit the age of 80, it was a major mood swing. Actually, warfarin is a blood thinner. It makes the blood thinner so that you don't get vascular diseases of the brain or the heart. So that has got very little to do with the mental illness, but the mood swings is definitely a feature of bipolar disorders, which needs to be addressed by a qualified psychiatrist. There are psychiatrists in practically all the major hospitals in the country, and there are clinics, psychiatric clinics run in the smaller hospitals and health centers. And also, there are a lot of private psychiatrists. Look up the internet and you'll find many of them. So they can consult. Difficult to give advice unless they assess him and decide what medicine to give. Yeah, especially if he had previous illness like that, the same thing before. Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, so Mr. Cheah, anything you want to add on, Dr. Gan?
So thank you very much for the questions. Just to clarify that in our qualitative data, we also include Malay and Indian sample size. So, and yeah, we have some limitations in our study. That's why we call it as a preliminary study. But I'm very happy that can get some feedback from you all so that I can improve in my next study. So it is good. Yeah, thank you very much. So maybe if Mr. Cheah has something to add on, then we can.
Yeah, just to end the session, I would like to. I'm really hoping that this will not be the last forum, because I think that it has generated a lot of interest, and the topic is actually very diverse, and we should actually look into different aspects on aging. I think that would be good. That inviting different speakers. No, so this is a good beginning. And we really thank UTAR for organizing this. So thank you very much.
So I think quite sorry that because we are limited time, so that's why we cannot answer all the questions. So I think all of the speaker also leave the email address, our contact. So if you have more questions to a specific speaker, we can actually do that. So hopefully we still have times or chance to gather all of us. So we can, it is a good forum that we can share the idea from a researcher. Then you can see, okay, practitioner might say different things. So, and also clinical side or even like from NGO, they might have different idea. That's why we need the voice from the public. So thanks for everyone. So Mr. Lee, maybe, or anyone's.
Okay, can I just make one last point? This is not only for Mr. Cheah, but for everybody, including Dr. Gan. Actually, what to do with the elderly's lives. At least, of course, everybody can do it, like cooking and all that. It's excellent ideas. In fact, I myself have learned better cooking in old age. But, but let me tell you this. One of the things we never think about, or almost never think about, is that in old age, many of the people with extensive experience, whether it is in administration or whether it's in medicine or whether it's in engineering or anything, can contribute, you can't believe this, can contribute tremendously to the neighboring countries which are so much worse than us. And I've done this, in fact, ever since I officially retired in 1996. I've been involved in so many countries overseas. Now, it was very expensive because they would invite me, they have to get the money, airfare, this and that, now that. So it's limited by them, but usually some other agencies like international agencies have provided the support. But now we have a tremendous new thing called the webinars. So you can organize expertise to be given to other countries through a webinar in the form of a discussion. For example, you see that program on the YouTube, on the CNA, about the chap, what express delivery. They go and deliver water purification in Cambodia, go and deliver books in Indonesia. Now that kind of thing can be done online for many countries. So the elderly with the expert amount of knowledge can actually give it. Now, why can't they do it inside the country? You know, and I know, in the place where you work, usually that's not possible. Why? Very complicated. We can have a next webinar on that. But basically, but
Yeah.
basically, people outside respect you more, and you can give that help. You may not get much money. In fact, you may not get any money, but the satisfaction for the elderly is tremendous, that they are still useful and contributing. Thank you.
Yeah, just since Prof. Deva has brought up this, I just want to mention that, remember I mentioned this 96 years old man, Tan Sri Song. He actually set up an association called the Expertise Resource Association. In short, it's called ERA. Actually, it's meant to get all the retired professionals and even semi-professionals together. And this association has been set up in 1986, 30 over years already. And they have been sending retired people overseas, including Cambodia, Vietnam, and so on and so forth, because our Tan Sri Song himself is an advisor to the Chamber of Commerce there. So they do training, they do actually exchange of expertise and all this. This is an excellent idea, to make use of their knowledge and experience that these retired people has, in making them useful. In fact, like I've said from the beginning of my presentation, that many actually seniors actually not only can contribute to the community, but also to the economy and the nation. You'll be quite surprised. In fact, this is what we mentioned to Tun Mahathir. Make use of these people, retired teachers who are English teachers. Our command and proficiency of English is so bad. Why not make use of those from the old schools who are, in fact, to me, excellent in their command of English to teach our people, our young people. One last point before I end. For the April 3rd conference, those who are interested, please write into us at thirdagemedia@gmail.com. We can, if there are space, we can actually get some of you to join us at the conference on April the 3rd at Menara, Kuala Lumpur. So thank you very much.
So, just because I realized that some audience asked, can we get the recordings or of these sessions? So we are going to post this under our website after we get the link from our technical departments. Then we will actually post the link, the recording link, so you can actually find this recording under our website. So just to let you know. So at the same time, I also share my email address as well as our center's web page, and Mr. Cheah just also share us the Third Age Association's to website, and I also share Prof. Dewa's emails to you all. Hopefully, Prof. Dewa, you're okay with it,
Yeah.
because actually, yeah. So I know, yeah. Is it okay for you, Prof. Dewa?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah. So thank you. So so just in case that you all need some outlet from any one of us, from me or from Prof. Dewa or from Mr. Cheah, because we are quite active in organizing some of the events that you might interest in. So you can join and you can get update from our website, or just email us. So when we have the information, we can share to you. Yeah. So, Mr.
Mr. Cheah, I think Miss Margaret, she asked about the link or information about the April forum. You might want to post in the chat box.
The chat, then you can share if you have the information. Yeah.
Okay. Can you all write to me at cheah@gmail.com? Then I will bring it up to the committee to decide, because we have limited space. As you know, we have to follow the SOP, because the Director of Ministry of Health is coming to officiate. So we really have to follow the SOP. So we have actually limited to only 100 participants. And we're giving preference to all the NGOs heads, the president or the office bearer of the NGOs. So that's why if whatever seats that we have, we can invite some of you to join us. All right, so this is my Gmail account. So please write to me and I'll bring it up to the committee to decide. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Prof. Deva, Mr. Cheah, and Dr. Gan. So I have an announcement to all UTAR students especially. Please don't forget to sign out later. The link will be provided. And to all participants, please fill out the feedback form so that we can improve our future event. And to all of us, can we all turn on our webcam so that we can have a group photo? Okay, can we have our webcam all turned on so that we can have a group photo? And for the recording of this session, the link will be posted on Center for Applied Psychology's official page. Okay, we're still waiting for participants to turn on their webcam so that we can see your face. Put a big smile and we can have a group photo.
Very happy to see everyone's here.
I think I enjoy very much about this.
Yeah.
It was really enriching.
Yeah, we had to apologize if because of the time limit we cannot answer all of the questions, and we maybe we can have another sessions with third age associations or with Dato Suns and Dato Muslim Ayub. And of course, with Prof Dewa have so many knowledge to share with us how to cope. Actually, you know, because there is actually all of my knowledge already. I'm still excited if I can, you know, have more interaction with you both. So yeah. So sorry that if we have anything that is not very good or well done, hopefully we can improve it in next time.
Thank you very much for organizing this.
Okay, Ms. Rubini and Mr. Tan, do we take the photo now or we wait for the participants to turn on the webcam?
Yeah, actually I took a few photos already. So, but while other people is opening the cam, I will continue to take more.
Okay. Okay, can we have all our webcam turned on so that we can take a photo? Be slow.